Hey everybody, this is Darren from RAC Training, and today I'm going to show you how to do a simple clean on your pistol. When I first got a gun, I was very diligent about making sure that my firearm was spotless whenever I cleaned it, and I complicated it and it made it into a chore. It was not very fun, and over time I realized that you really don't need to go that in depth when you're cleaning your firearm. You just need to get it 99% clean. And that's pretty easy to do. It should only take you about 5 minutes to clean a pistol. I guess I should talk about how often I clean a firearm. I probably only clean my guns, like I'm going to show you right here, after about 500 rounds. This one's a little bit sooner. I've probably only got about 100 rounds through this one right now. It's not very dirty, just to show you how to clean it. But typically about 500 rounds, I'll do a real quick cleaning like I'm going to show you here. Now, I have field stripped this pistol, so I won't go through the process of doing that. If you want to know how to do that, I have other videos that will show you how to do that. But I'm just going to show you the basic things that you need to clean a pistol, and it's pretty inexpensive to do. And your basic things that you're going to need are some patches, and you can buy cheapo patches like these that you just cut to size for whatever you need. You can use old shirts, you can use socks, whatever you got. I like to use old shirts and underwear and things like that I'm not using anymore. So you can use Q-tips. Honestly, Q-tips are one of the best things to clean your firearm. They are inexpensive. You can buy these fancier wooden Q-tips. They do basically the same thing. These are good because they do reach a little bit farther than the others, especially if you're cleaning like ARs and stuff like that, rifles. But basically you just need some Q-tips, some patches, a brush. This is a gun brush. I like it because it has this small end here to get into small tight places, and the bigger side for everything else. But you can just use a toothbrush. Inexpensive, cheap. One thing you will need is a cleaning rod like this to get into the barrel, and brass brush and a brass jag in your caliber. That's for cleaning inside the barrel. You can also use a ripcord like this. Some people call it a bore snake. This one's from Otis, and it's a good, easy way to clean out your barrel, but I do like having a brush that I can really scrub inside the barrel. Either way you want to do it, that's fine. You just pull the ripcord through a bunch of times and it'll basically do the same thing. One of the great products that people have used for decades is Hoppe's number 9. This is a bore cleaner, and what I do, instead of using the bottle to dip your patches in, and your brush, because your brush is going to get dirty, so when you're dipping it back into the bottle, it's going to get your bore cleaner dirty, and over time it's going to be nasty. So I just use these little bottles that I fill with whatever I want. It's got a little needle applicator, so it comes out very slowly. You don't need a whole lot, so these are great. I have one with oil for lubrication later. You can also use like a Rem oil like this, just spray a little bit on a patch or a little bit onto a Q-tip. And this is another great one to use. It's CLP. It cleans, lubricates, and protects. Great thing about CLP is that it does leave a very fine lubricating film on whatever you're doing. So you can kind of do the cleaning and the lubrication all in one step. You spray it on, wipe it off, and you're basically done. So first I'm going to start with my barrel. It's going to need some bore cleaner inside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a jag on my cleaning rod here. I'm going to take a patch and I'm going to saturate it with a little bit of Hoppe's number 9. Okay. And then I'm going to push that down through the barrel, nice and slow. Okay, and you can see it already kind of removed some carbon and gunk out of the barrel there. And then I'm going to just put that aside and let it sit. It's going to just work on the carbon buildup inside the barrel there while I'm cleaning some other things, and I'll get back to that. The recoil spring recoil guide assembly here, there's not a lot that needs to be done with this. I basically just use a rag and I just wipe it off. If it's got some debris or something on it, you can use a brush and just kind of knock that stuff off. But basically, these are pretty easy. You just have to wipe them down. Next, I will work on the slide. So I'm going to just take a rag, or you can take a patch and do the same thing, or a brush. Typically, the first thing I do is with the brush, and I just go through and knock off all the loose particles, particulates, anything that's dry and just hanging out in there. Honestly, with modern ammunition, propellants that they use, it's not as dirty as it used to be. And just a quick brush with your brush is going to do 90% of what you need. You can take a Q-tip, and in these grooves on the slide here, you can just take your Q-tip, get down in there, kind of get that loose, and you can see there's some carbon that's coming out of there, some dirt from the propellant. Nothing major. I'm just sticking it down in there and kind of scraping that out. Same thing around here. Down in here behind the striker. See how much junk I can get out of there. Around the striker block here. This little button right here is called the striker block. Try to get out any kind of dirt stuff around in there. You can push down on it, kind of work it out. Where the striker comes out, just give that a good brush. Work anything loose out of there. Again, you can just take a rag, kind of wipe this stuff out. Wipe out your slide. If you want to, you can use a little bit of CLP. If you were going to do that, if I were going to do that, I'd just spray a little bit on my Q-tip here, because what I don't want to do is get a whole bunch of CLP in here into the inner workings of the slide. And also, when you start using this kind of stuff, it makes a gunky mess. But if there's a little bit that needs to be cleaned up, you can just do this so you're not saturating your slide with it. And you can see that took a little bit off. Not a whole lot. Like I said, this gun was not very dirty, but anyway, that slide looks pretty clean. Same thing with your frame. Just using a brush and just getting in here, brushing things out is going to do 90% of what you need. I get it down in here, work around the slide stop. I'm just basically knocking off any kind of loose particulate. You can take the frame apart and really get in there and deep clean, but honestly, I don't do that. 95% of the time, this is all I'm doing to keep my guns running smoothly. One cool thing you can do is use a inmost plier, or you can use a forceps like this. Take a chunk of rag, clean that magazine well out. So I'm just basically just running a rag up and down in that magazine well, trying to get out anything that's in there. Not much at all in there. You can use a another Q-tip to get down in here if you'd like, but you're not going to see a whole lot. Okay, so that's about it for the frame. It looks pretty good. Now we're going to go back to the barrel, since that's the last step. This time I'm going to put a bore brush on, bronze or brass bore brush, and I'm just going to go in the barrel here and back and forth a few times. Doesn't have to be crazy. I'm just loosening up what was already started with the bore cleaner and just really working out whatever's in there. You can see it's a little bit dirty. But next I'm going to go back to my jag again. Now I'm going to use some clean patches and push through the bore. And you'll see it's bringing out all that dirt. And I'm cheap, so I like to reuse my patches. I just flip it over to the clean side and go through again. So it's getting a little bit cleaner every time I do it. Oops. Yeah, that's pretty clean. So next on the barrel here, back at the chamber, you can see that there's a bit of carbon buildup on here. I'm just going to use a brush, kind of knock that off. Get in the crevices here. And I'm going to go back to that original saturated patch that I passed through the barrel. And we'll just use, because it's got a little bit of the Hoppe's bore solvent on there, or bore cleaner. And just clean that off. I want that feed ramp to be nice and shiny. As you can see it is. I'm just kind of using my fingernail to get into the grooves down in here. And that really knocks it off. I'm going to go back to my rag here to kind of clean that off a little bit. And wow, that's pretty clean. That's about all it takes. Clean in the barrel lugs here. There's not much in there. You can use your brush to get in there. And then just wipe that off. And one thing you also don't want to forget is the crown of the muzzle right here. If you put your finger in there and do this, you're going to see there's a little bit carbon buildup right there that doesn't get out. It doesn't come off with your brush and your jag. Okay, so, and then just finish that up with a clean patch. See how clean we got it. It's pretty clean. Okay, so the last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to clean the magazine. I just take a rag and wipe it down on the outside. Any kind of dirt or anything that's on it. I just use a Q-tip to clean on top of the follower here and to get up underneath the feed lips like this. There's not a whole lot to clean on the magazine. Use a brush right there. Just a little bit of something right there. Well, I just got it more dirty with my brush than it was to begin with. So that's about all the cleaning that I usually do. Shouldn't take you more than 5 minutes. Pretty simple. And the next thing I do before I put the pistol back together is just give it some lubrication. So we'll start with the barrel here. You can see, it might not be so obvious on this barrel, but on your black barrels you can see it really easily. There are some wear marks, rub marks where the metal on metal contact is. You can see some on the slide, a little bit right here, a little bit right in there. And there are wear marks, any of the shiny spots really, on your frame, on your slide, on your barrel. Those are the parts that get a little bit of oil. Use it sparingly because too much oil will attract dirt. So I just put a drop or two of oil on my Q-tip, and then I'm just gonna kind of rub that all over the barrel. A spot right here, a little bit right here, a little bit on the lugs, and just kind of spread it around with your finger. Make sure it's on there, but it's not crazy. We're not dousing it with oil. A little bit more, another drop or two. Put it in the spots here that need a little bit. So here I will take my needle applicator and just, literally 2 or 3 drops along these grooves that are cut in the slide. I'll just take a Q-tip and spread that on in there so that it's not overflowing with oil. I don't want it dripping. Yeah, that's pretty good. And I can take that Q-tip now and just put a little bit on these slide rails. A little bit here. And that's about it. So now I'll reassemble the slide, take the barrel, slide it in place, take that guide rod assembly, put it in there, locking it down behind the barrel lug. Now it's captured, we're good to go. I just need to put the slide rails into the slide, just like that. One last rack of the slide, and it puts it all back into place the way it's supposed to be. Like I said, I'm going to rack the slide a bunch of times. Make sure that oil is generously distributed. Pull the trigger to verify that it's working. We are reassembled and ready to go back to the range. I hope that this was helpful to you, and we'll see you next time.